Right. So today we are going to discuss the process of word formation in English. Okay. We have been discussing the nature of the morpheme, what morphemes are for, the difference between bound and free, the difference between lexical and grammatical morphemes, the difference between content morphemes and function morphemes. These are all available in the previous videos. Okay. If you have any question about them, uh, maybe you should ask now. Then we can move on to the process of word formation. Today we are going to see different processes on how to form words in English, right? So, how are English words formed? We have different types of words from different formations. These processes of word formation uh, result in some types of word formation. The first one being the derived words, okay? Then we have the lexical gaps, which are not actually words, okay? We'll discuss them. Then we have the compounds, okay? Uh, and we are going to discuss on how to make a difference between compounds and noun phrases, especially because we are going to see the noun phrase when we come to the syntax part of this course. We have acronyms, we have abbreviations, truncation, and clipping, okay? And also eponyms. So these are the, and the blends, of course, okay? These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 processes that we can use, or not that we can use because it's not something that we manipulate all the time, but that consist on how English words can be formed. So for example, we have new words, okay, that will produce new meanings formed from the root plus a derivational morpheme. What do we call this? We call it derived words. Examples for this are those with a prefix, like regular. You put a prefix to the root, and then you have ir plus regular. Then we derive it into irregular. In this case, it's a derivational process that does not change the word class. Regular is an adjective and irregular as well, okay? But we have a new meaning, new words resulting in new meaning. Like and dislike as verbs, okay? Do and undo as verbs, and present and represent. They are examples on how to form words by deriving them from a prefix. We have other examples on how to form words deriving them from a suffix. For example, listen and listening. In this case, listen is a verb, but listening, considering listening as an ability to listen, listening is a noun. So we can derive a word by means of a prefix or by means of a suffix. In this case, we call this suffix ing at the end of listening as a derivational noun-forming suffix, okay? Let me open the word processor to show you some other derivational suffixes. Just a moment. I'll open the word here. And share another window. Right, so let's take the case, for example, of the suffix er. Okay, what does er mean for you? If you had to define the meaning of er, as for example in perform and performer, what does er mean? Could you give me a definition? Take perform plus ER. And we have performer. If you had to give me a definition, what is this ER for? If I asked you this in a test, what does it do for the verb to perform? Well, it's a suffix, isn't it? Now, what is this suffix for?
It transforms the verb into a noun.
Yeah, so I can say that if another word for transforming is deriving. So it derives, it's derivational. This is the first information I have about ER. ER is derivational. Now it turns a verb into a noun. So it's the same as to say it's a noun forming suffix. So I call it a derivational noun forming suffix. Okay, ER. This is good from the technical naming of the suffix. Okay, but what is the meaning? I know its function. Yeah, it's forming nouns out of a verb. But what is the meaning of it?
A person that does something.
Yeah, that's it. So uh, let's work mathematically because sometimes morphology is kind of similar to math. An Xer is someone that does X, okay? Or a Yer is someone that does Y, okay? So I'd say that this is someone or something that does or that performs certain action, okay? So I call it derivational noun forming suffix. Now we only have as a morpheme for someone or something that performs, or do we have some allomorphs? What are the allomorphs of Each teacher, perform, performer, but act. What do we have? The one that acts is an
Artist? Actor?
mm, actor.
Sorry, yeah, actor.
We have or, performing exactly the same meaning, someone that does something, as you see? So or and are allomorphs because they are not the same spelling, they are not the same pronunciation, but they have the same morphological function. I'm just reviewing with you the concept of allomorphs. Okay. Do we have other allomorphs that you can recall by now? We have the feminine actress. That's because of uh, language policy and identity policy, feminism, and so on, is in disuse. Okay, nowadays we used to say she's an actor, but well, we have actress. Okay, it's possible in the language, although you can discuss on how sexist it is, but it's grammatically possible. So this suffix res is equivalent to and of course to or, okay, actress, and so on, okay? So these and many other suffixes, I call them derivational noun forming. But I have some others. I have some other suffixes that don't form nouns. Some of them form verbs. And when I form a verb, I can infer that the suffix is a derivational verb forming suffix. With double F. Can you think of some verb that's formed out of a word class, a different word class? The one that sends you spam on the internet is what? Oh, sorry, no. Then we have verb. We have noun forming again. Sorry. Uh, can you think of some verb that comes from a noun or from an adjective or from some other word class?
Trying to think, but it's quite hard to remember.
Mm. But we have some of them. We'll come across. I can't recall one now. Let me see. Derivational verb forming suffix. Normally they are neologisms, but spammer to spam. Recorder. In this case, is now forming. Well, we'll come across some of them. We have the derivational verb forming suffixes. We have derivational adjective forming. This is easier. Suffixes. When I turn a word class into an adjective, for example, let me see, adjective. It's really hard to recall these suffixes now. Adjective forming.
Like Y at the end of
Like,
a few words.
can you write some in the chat if you could, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like I don't know, the one that I just remembered is like cringe and cringy.
How do you spell that? I can't hear you very well. Like C, or could you write it on the chat? Cringy, cringe, and yes, those ending in Y, cringy. So this Y is an adjective forming suffix. Okay, we are going to explore these suffixes with some exercises. Okay, never mind about this. Don't worry. Uh, for now, I want you to keep looking at other ways of forming words. Okay, so we have the derived ones. Basically, we have discussed last class that derivation is when I change the word into another word class, or when I change its meaning by means of a prefix or a suffix, or both. Okay, sometimes both. I change meaning and word class. So I have something out of the same material, but with a different shape or with a different meaning. Okay. Now we have the lexical gaps. These are very interesting, and this has a lot to do with child language. The way that children sometimes create words, like in Portuguese, eu fazia, because the rule allows the process of word formation, although the word does not exist in the language. So a lexical gap is a well-formed but non-existent word. It's well-formed. I mean, by well-formed, we mean following the rules of prefix, suffix, positioning. But it does not exist. And the reason is a permissible sequence that has no meaning attached to it in the English grammar. Permissible because it's predictable. For example, you can form Deverbal nouns, nouns out of verbs, nouns derived from verbs uh, by the addition of suffixes such as yan or shan or all to some verbs. So we have the verb recite, and out of recite, we can have recitation and recital. Okay, so we have two different derivational noun forming suffixes, either shan or all. And both shan and all can be added to recite to form nouns. But take a look at what happens with other verbs. Let's take the case of educate. We can only get education, but we don't have educato. You see? Although educato is possible because there is a permissible sequence in the grammar that tells us that all is a derivational noun forming suffix, we do not have the word educato. We only have education. So educato, we would write it with an asterisk like this, meaning that it's ungrammatical, meaning that it's a lexical gap, also called a lacuna. It's a gap in the language. It's a gap in the language allowed by the rules of word formation, but that does not mean anything. We do not only have morphological lexical gaps, okay? We have semantical lexical gaps. For example, a classical example of this comparing English to Portuguese is the word saudade. People claim that the word does not exist in English, and you have to use word sequences, that would mean the same, like to miss someone or something, but we do not have a lexeme with the same signifier. Okay, I don't know if you got it, but since we are not discussing semantics but only morphology, I'm just touching the point here of morphological lexical gaps. And morphological lexical gaps are those words that could exist according to the word formation rules, according to the existence of suffixes and the possibility of adding them to roots, but these words simply do not exist in the language. So in this case of education, only one noun is formed. Even if the English language's morphological rules allow the formation of other nouns, they simply cannot exist. For example, you can get the nouns proposition and proposal from the verb to propose. So we have both proposition and proposal. But from the verb to arrive, we can only have arrival. There is no arrivation. This is a lexical gap. Okay. Normally, Brazilians learning English that think of this shan as a very productive suffix tend to have this kind of recurrent mistake of putting shan at the end of words, thinking that they are producing nouns. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they are not. So it's also true for the verb to refuse. We have refusal, but no refusion. Maybe refusion, if you consider re as a prefix, meaning do it again, could be used as the repetition of the process of fusion, like fusing a metal, melting some metal, fusion, in that sense, but not deriving from refuse. Okay, so there's no refusion related to refuse. And derivation, we can produce derivation out of the verb to derive. Sorry. Uh, okay, sorry about that. But there is no derival. Anyway, to deprive would be the same, okay? Deprivation, but there's no deprival. Okay. So we use these asterisks to refer to ungrammatical words, okay, which are lexical gaps, or if you prefer to call them, you can call them lacunas, okay? Any question about lexical gaps? Can you think of some other lexical gaps in English? Words that the word formation process, the suffixes, maybe could allow you to produce, but that don't exist? For example, inform, to inform. What's the immediate derivation of inform? I mean, what is the noun? To inform is a verb. What is the noun related to it? Is it possible to create the word informal related to the verb to inform?
It is, but it doesn't have the same meaning.
Yeah, so in fact, it's because it's not really related to formal or informal. Sorry, it's not related to the verb to inform. It's related to being formal or non-formal. You see? In being a prefix, meaning no, and all being a suffix, derivational noun forming suffix. So in this case, we have two processes of word formation involved: prefixation, to mean no by means of the prefix in, not, and suffixation by means of all, meaning related to, the noun related to the verb. So we have the verb to form, or we have the noun form, meaning a shape, a form, in meaning not, and all meaning related to. Okay, so it's a case of homophony. Okay, it's the same sound, the same spelling, but different morphemes. Another process of word formation, and this is very interesting because it has a lot to do with pronunciation as well, and there is a crossover here with phonetics and phonology, are the compound words. Compounds are words that get together to form new words with new meanings. So we have word plus word, okay, and the meaning may or may not change, but sometimes it does. In Portuguese, we have words like guarda-chuva, which is formed by means of a hyphen. In English, we have words with hyphens and not hyphenized as well. Okay, so we have word plus word, and then we have as a resultant a compound word. A classic example of a compound word is a house painted white. How do you call it? A house that is painted white, you say it is a
White House?
yeah, yes and no. Yes and
I
no.
mean, I couldn't get it.
It's a White House, but it's not the White House. Did you realize the difference in word stress? My house is a White House, but I don't
I
live in the
mean,
White House.
yeah,
White House,
yeah.
double
Also, like
stress.
I think there's another example
Mm.
that follows this rule. It's like greenhouse and greenhouse.
Yes, yes, there is a difference in word stress. So in White House, meaning a house painted white, we have stress for each word. Okay, a stressed syllable for each word. Now, when we have White House, we have only one stressed syllable. That's White House. Okay, so although they are spelled, the words are spelled separated. Okay, so when two words are in the same grammatical category, compound will be in the same category. So if I have noun plus noun, resultant is a noun. Verb plus verb, the resultant is a verb. Adjective plus adjective. The resultant is an adjective. You see? For example, home plus work. Something is your home work. Now, you pronounce it homework. Okay? Like the stress syllable is in the word home. Okay? So we have home, which is a noun. Work is a noun. So homework is also a noun. Can you think of other examples of compound words? Come on, I know you can. What kinds of computers do we have? We have basic
Personal computers,
that we also call,
desktops.
yeah, desktops. Something is desk, something is a top, but a desktop, okay, you pronounce it desktop. Very good. Or laptop, or note plus book. Notebook. Note is a noun. Book is a noun. Notebook is a noun. Okay.
Bookstore.
Bookstore. Very good. Bookstore. Okay. You have book, you have store, bookstore, and then you have drugstore and all the kinds of stores, department store. Okay. And White House, which is the classical example, the difference between the house painted white and the residence of the president of the US. Okay. So we have some compounds here. And compounds are not necessarily only two words put together, they can be more. For example, we have two word compounds, which are the most common, of course, but we have three word compounds, like a three-time loser, okay, which is an expression from English, a three-time loser. Or we have four word compounds, like a four-dimensional space and time, four-dimensional space-time, or three-dimensional space-time. Okay, there's no limit for that. Now let's take a look at the difference in the meaning for compounds. Take a look at this. Some meaning, the same meaning as the parts. Normally, there are compounds that have the same meaning as the parts. So we have a boat house, which means a house for boats. Okay, a house where you put boats. Or we also have new meanings, but they are related to the meaning of the individual parts. Like a blackbird. A blackboard not necessarily is black. Could be green, it could be a glass, but people still call them blackboards. Okay, so it can be other colors, not just black. Although most of them are black, it was the tradition of the process of word formation uh, has, how can I say, established this word to design that piece of the wall in which you write, but not necessarily black, could be green. Or a red coat, which is a slang for British soldier during the American Revolutionary War. So a red coat is not necessarily any coat that is colored red, but it's a specific kind of red coat, meaning the way the soldiers dressed. Or a redneck. What is a redneck? You know that? Americans normally call Texans and those people from the states of the South rednecks. What does redneck mean? And why do you think they are called rednecks? Have you ever heard this term, redneck?
Yeah.
A redneck is basically a caipira, okay?
Yeah,
The in Woody Woodpecker, You know that red-haired guy? I forgot his name. The one with a mustache. He is a classical redneck. Why do they call these Americans from the South redneck? Because of their rural tradition, because of the sun, the 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 intense sun during the summer, so they are too white and they burn their necks in the sun working on the country, so it gets red. That's why they call them rednecks. Of course, you should avoid this way of calling people because it's kind of a prejudice. Okay. Now let's see other examples. Can I say this is a blackbird? Can I or can't
It
I?
is. I mean,
It's a penguin. Looks like
yeah. I mean, penguins are not birds.
yeah, yeah. In
They're
fact, yeah,
mammals.
yeah, yeah.
Eh,
Okay, yeah.
But it's
Unhappy
black and it
example.
looks like a block. It
Yeah,
looks like a bird.
yeah. But okay, consider a bird, a real bird. Okay, forget that penguins are not birds, and I'll change the image in the next moment. But any bird that is black is a black bird, but it's not a blackbird. This was not the bird that John Lennon was talking about when composed the song Blackbird. Okay, I don't know if it was John or Paul. I think it was Paul McCartney.
It was full.
It was Paul, yeah. This is the Blackbird. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. So it's the difference between Blackbird and Blackbird. Okay? It is only a Blackbird if it's this kind of Turdus merula. Okay? All the other birds, black, for example, the vultures, os famosos aerobus, né? Os urubus que tem aqui no Parque Vitória, são blackbirds, mas eles não são blackbirds. Muito complicado, gente? Vocês pegam a diferença na pronúncia? Vocês conseguem? Às vezes eu tenho que dar uma exagerada, porque ela é bem sutil. Is that okay?
For me, it's okay.
Right. One more. This dog. Yeah. Take a look at this dog. Well, in English, we can use the adjective hot to say that something is nice, that something is interesting for for example, a good car. Yeah, I can congratulate a friend of mine for buying a good car, say, oh, Hot Wheels. Yeah, and that's where Hot Wheels, the collection, comes from. Hot meaning something, an adjective that means positivity, appreciation. Yeah. So this dog is kind of beautiful. Yeah. Can say it's a hot dog, but it's completely different from a hot dog. Okay. Just silly examples for you to notice the difference in pronunciation. Or take a look at these colors of wood. We have cherry. I can say cherry is red wood, but it's not redwood. Okay. Redwood is only redwood if it's this giant sequoia. It's kind of a proper name for this kind of plant. Okay. Questions?
Nope.
Now, we have acronyms, which is another process of word formation. We have gone through derivation, lexical gaps. We discussed compounds. Now it's time to talk about acronyms. Okay, acronyms are not really words. We call them words but they derive from the initials of several words. Can you think of some acronyms? When you get the initials
The first one that comes to my mind is the one we use when you teach conjunctions,
Conjunctions, for example.
coordinating conjunctions. Fanboys, because you have like all the words like for and nor,
Mm, mm.
like this.
Okay, take a look at this. For example, what do you call the National Agency of Spatial uh,
NASA.
NASA? Yeah, National Agency of Spatial. I forgot the other word. Anyway, National Aeronautics and Space Agency. That is it, NASA. Okay. Can you think of other acronyms in English?
FBI.
FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Any CIA. I don't know what CIA stands for. It's something intelligence agency.
Central Intelligence Agency. Yeah.
Yeah. UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, and many others. Okay, in Portuguese, we have all the most of the political parties in Brazil are have their names constituted of acronyms. Only the most recent ones, like Rede or Cidadania, they are not based on acronyms because the law has changed. But until the 2000s, I think it was mandatory for all political parties in Brazil to start with a P, meaning partido, and all the other letters that would define the party's name. So we have the old ones like PSDB, PT, PSTU, PV, all of them meaning something that is reduced into an acronym. So please do not make confusion between acronyms and abbreviations. Okay, they're not really the same. Okay, abbreviations they are a process of word, not really formation, but we call it a process of word formation. In fact, it's word reduction. But abbreviation is like, for example, professor, you abbreviate it like prof, period. Okay, doctor, dr, period, or philosophy doctor, PhD. Okay, this is an abbreviation. Now acronyms are the initials. Okay, and we have some in Brazil, INSS or SUS. Okay, all of them are abbreviations. Oh, sorry. Acronyms. I beg your pardon. Now it's time to discuss abbreviations. In fact, I have told you abbreviations, uh, they get longer words or phrases, and these reductions become lexicalized. They become words that we use in our daily language, like fax for facsimile. We do not use these anymore. Or email for electronic mail. Okay. Uh, Zap in Portuguese, we do that a lot. Zap for WhatsApp. Can you think of other abbreviations? Come on, guys. Examples of your own. It's always good when you can give examples, so I realize that you're getting. Give me one abbreviation in English.
An abbreviation.
Do you know
Well,
that the British say tally for television?
yeah, yeah. Mm, congrats.
Congrats, very good. For congratulations, you say congrats. Okay. Um we have some others. Like, can't recall now. Well, anyway, they will come. Now, another process of word formation is are eponyms. Now, what are eponyms? They are words formed from proper names. So you have someone that creates a theory, okay, like Sigmund Freud. We have the Freudian theory. Freudian is an eponym, okay? Can you think of other eponyms? Some adjectives are eponyms. For example, if you stick to Marx ideas, you're,
Marxist.
you are Marxist. If you believe in the theory of evolution of Darwin, you are a Darwinist, and so on. Okay, so eponyms are formed from proper names, like Alexandrine verses that come from Alexander the Great, or Alzheimer's disease. Okay, Platonic, which refers to Plato, and so on, right? So these are the eponyms. Eponyms have to do with the proper name of someone or some place, okay? Most nationalities are eponyms. Brazilian. Brazilian is an eponym. The process of word formation for Brazilian is called eponym. American, Canadian, whatever ending in "yan" or any other allomorph is an eponym. Okay, and we have blends. Blends are pretty similar to compounds, but parts of the words that are combined are suppressed. They are deleted so that these two words can get together. Okay, it's more. It's like in a compound word, you can distinguish both parts. You can even separate them with no loss. In a blend, it's not possible. They are kind of better mixed, if we could say that. It's like more homogeneous, a homogeneous mixture. Let's take a look at a blend. Smog, for example, is a mixture of smoke and fog, or a motel, which is a motor hotel, a motor hotel. So you mix parts. In the case of motel, you lose the tor part, you lose the whole part, and you have them put together. Motel. Did you know this word? Smog, smoke plus fog. Okay, it's like that neblina. Okay, a heavy neblina, or a spork. Have you seen a spork? Did you know what it is?
I don't think so.
It's the intermediate between a spoon and a fork. It's like this. Let me see if I can show you it in Google Images. Fork.
Um, those kinds of spoons. Yeah.
Yeah, like this. Okay, this is a spork. Okay, this one. Okay, some of
Another
them are
example would be, I don't know, brunch.
brunch. Yeah, yeah, good example. Brunch, which is breakfast plus lunch. Yeah, I think it's that.
Yeah, yeah, breakfast and lunch.
Oh, we had the spork here. Okay, or when you have a cybernetic organism, you have a cyborg. That's where the word cyborg comes from. Cybernetic organism. Or the Robocop. It's the mixture between robot and cop, but we lose the final T, so it's a blend. So blends and compounds are they go through similar processes. The difference is that in blends, parts of each word are lost so that they can get together. Okay, so these are the processes of word formation that we have in English, right? And I'd like to propose you now some exercises on suffixes. Let me just get the exercise here. I'll upload it to Siga, okay? But we have some inflectional and derivational suffixes, okay? I'll explain it to you and then I'll upload it to Siga. We have some inflectional and derivational suffixes here, okay? So I want you to determine what kind of suffix is highlighted in the words below. So use the structure of the sentences to guide your decision so you have the context. And the item number follows the word. Okay, so you have the items here. So these suffixes here, like in tempestuous, what kind of suffix is this? When I ask you what kind of suffix, is it noun forming? Is it verb forming? Is it adjective forming? Is it derivational? Is it inflectional? Like we may have some suffix that is inflectional, okay, like plural, for example, or concordance. So we have a text here. The suffixes are in boldface type. And I want you to put their numbers, their respective numbers, and tell me if they are derivational noun forming, derivational verb forming, derivational adjective forming. It's not listed here, but derivational adverb forming. It will depend on the word class. Okay. And then in the second example,
Sorry,
yes.
sorry, Phil, could you explain again? My connection failed.
Okay. Okay. So we have a text here. Okay. I'll upload this for you. Don't worry. I'll put it in Google Drive in no time. We have a text here. And in this text, we have some suffixes in boldface type and a number, which is the number of the item. When you solve, you put there number one. This suffix is derivational or inflectional. Make a choice. If it's derivational, what kind of derivational? Noun forming, verb forming, adjective forming, adverb forming. You see, what kind of word class does it produce? So this is the first task, I'd say. Uh, and then we have a second exercise in which I want you to write down in a phrase the meaning for these suffixes here. Okay, this is a bit more difficult, but not impossible. But we can leave it for a second moment. I'll put this exercise available in our folder in Google Drive right now. And then you download and we'll try to solve together. Just a moment. I'll copy this. And I'll go to our Google Drive. Let me just stop presentation for the moment. In no time, I'll be putting it to Siga as well. But for now, just Google Drive. And I'll get the link for it. I think you have the link for the folder, but anyway, I'll put the link for it here. Let me go to the chat. Okay, please check if you can access this file. It's a Word file. Oh, still as a master in the in the document, but anyway, I got a template and
Yeah, I can access it.
okay. So let's concentrate in the first exercise. Okay, let me correct this. Hmm. I didn't study for years not to be a doctor. Fuck. Well, uh, sorry. Let me share the screen. Right. So, inflectional and derivational morphemes. Determine what kind of suffix is highlighted in the words below. Okay, so the suffix is highlighted here in boldface type. What kind of suffix is it? Use the structure of the sentences to guide your decision. In other words, take a look at the context, because without the context, you could be led to confusion because there would be 2, 3 answers. Okay. Uh, the item number follows the word. So when you answer, you put number 1, tempestuous. Yeah. OUS is what kind of suffix? Inflectional, derivational, noun forming, verb forming, adjective forming. Okay. So I'll give you like 10 minutes to take a look at this text. The extract is: it was a dark and tempestuous night. Suddenly, an explosion pierced the silence. The maid's persistent screams rang from the conservatory. The butler was running up the stairs when he stumbled over the prostrate body of his erstwhile employer, a reclusive industrialist. Quickly, he deduced that the man had been given a fatal dose of an anesthetic. A fragile document was missing from the gigantic safe. He began to organize a reconnaissance to search for the fugitive. After that, he planned to interrogate the miscreant. Well, you can use a dictionary if you would like to. I want you to explore these suffixes. I'll give you 10 minutes. Let's do just the first, okay, as an example. First one, we have tempestuous. Now, if we had to split the word tempestuous, how would you do that? Would
Maybe Tempest,
tempest, yeah.
and then
We
a
know what a
vowel.
tempest is. It's maybe it's the root.
Mm-hmm. Probably the root.
They use
Use is a
filler,
vowel.
yeah, and
Uh,
OUS because it's given, yeah, that OUS is
yeah.
a suffix. Okay, I'm interested in this suffix. What does it mean? Tempest. What is tempest? Does this word exist? Let's take a look. Let's go to a dictionary. Let's open the Cambridge. Could be another of your preference. So let's see, tempest. Well, a tempest is a noun, meaning a violent storm. Okay, so tempestuous sounds like what?
An
Relate,
adjective.
yeah, an adjective related to a tempest. So I say that this process is an inflectional or a derivational process. I have a noun, and after putting a suffix, I get an adjective. What kind of process is this? Is it a derivational process or an inflectional process?
The-
Remember, inflection is just for grammar. Changes in the word by means of suffixes to operate grammatical rules.
So it's inflectional.
Mm, Is it working to change meaning, or to obey, to submit the word to grammar? Is the meaning of tempest the same meaning as tempestuous?
Kind of. What changes is the grammatical aspect of it, isn't it?
There is a syntactical aspect. Yes, syntax is part of grammar. Let me change my assertion. Uh, not syntactical, semantical. Inflectional processes refer to syntactic processes, whereas derivational processes are more close to semantic processes. Better now?
I see. Better.
Yeah. We normally call grammar those rules of concordance and so on, but yeah, semantics is part of grammar.
Okay. So it's a
So
derivational.
it's derivational. Why do I know? How do I know it's derivational? I'll abbreviate it with a D, okay? Because I have the change in the word class. Tempest is a noun, but tempestuous, as you said, sounds like an adjective. If I don't know, I can always check in the dictionary. Yeah, an adjective. We are trained in that. Yeah, we know how to recognize adjectives. So I say it's a derivational adjective. I'll abbreviate it with ADJ, forming suffix because it's a suffix. Okay. So you're going to do this with explosion, for example. Number 2, explosion. Now, how would you split this word explosion into morphemes? I'm interested only in the yawn part. This is what I'm interested in analyzing. But if we were to split this, we could, yeah? X, can I say it's a prefix? Is explosion the same as implosion?
No.
Yeah.
No.
X is a prefix. Plus is the root, okay? Now, what is the meaning of plus, teacher? In English, none. But in Latin, there's a meaning, okay? Like in the word plot, for example, the plot of a story. But anyway, we are not interested in the prefix, just in the suffix. Now, what can you do with X plus or smaller parts of X plus? Can you form other words? Explosion comes from what? The word explosion. What are
Maybe
its
it's
sister?
explode.
Explode. So explode is what in terms of word class?
A verb.
And how about explosion?
A noun.
So what do I call yawn? Inflectional or derivational?
A derivational noun forming suffix.
Easy, isn't it? If it forms a noun out of another word class, it's a derivational noun forming process, suffix. Now, if it forms a new noun out of a noun, I have a noun, I put a suffix, and out of this process, I have another noun with a different meaning. Is it still derivation? The answer is
Guess it's
Yes,
inflectional. I mean, yeah, so sorry.
it's derivational because I can
It's
change.
just another process, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a complementary process. I can have derivational from a noun to a noun or from an adverb to another adverb, and this process changes meaning. Remember, in derivation, I change meaning, I change word class, or both. Okay, so I'll leave the others for you. Try to do uh, at least until number 10, and then we discuss. I'll give you like 10 minutes so that we can do until number 10, and then I'll leave it for you as an activity for the weekend, I'd say. But let's correct it until number 10. Let's see if you got the mechanism of solving this. Okay? I'd like you all to try, okay? I'd like everybody to participate in the correction. So I'll give you, it's 8:45. I'll give you like 10 minutes to do the first 10. And then by 5 to 9, we start discussing the corrections, okay?
Okay.
Please try to do it. I'll close my cam for a while. It's the time I make some coffee for me. Okay, how's it going? Would one of you please volunteer for correction of the third one?
It's exactly the one I was, uh, the one I didn't know so well.
Okay.
If you could please, do this one and then we continue.
Okay, pierced. Did anybody do this one? Pierced. An explosion pierced the silence. Number 3. Who did it? We have the ending ed. Somebody turned on the microphone and decided to turn off. Don't be shy. You can speak. Will I have to volunteer you because I have no volunteers? Come on. Help me here. Islane, Delciane, Lohane, Raissa, who's going to help me?
Hi.
Hi, Raissa, let's go. Pierced. What does it sound like for you? The number 3. How did you solve this? The final ed is what?
I put verb forming derivational suffix.
Yeah, let's see. We have the word pierced, and we are interested just in the final ed.
Yeah.
And pierced here means what? Is it the simple past or the past participle of the verb to pierce?
Past. Past.
An explosion pierced the silence.
It's the
Well,
past, simple past.
it's simple past because there is no verb to have. If it was present perfect, like has pierced, then it would be participle. In this case, there is no auxiliary verb, so it's simple past. Let's consider this, Raissa. Pierce and pierced. We have a changing meaning. First of all, let's see the meaning of the verb. Dictionary. Pierce. To pierce is a verb to go into or through something, making a hole in it using a sharp point, like to pierce a coconut. Yeah, it's similar to perforate or something. Or uh, another meaning, a light, sound, etc., to suddenly be seen or heard despite darkness, noise, etc. Okay, pierce as a verb, to go or through. Okay, a pointed object, to make a hole. Okay, now pierced. If I say I pierced a coconut to have its water, or I will pierce this coconut to have its water, do I have a drastic change in meaning or just a change in verb tense? What do you think, Raíssa?
Verb tense.
In verb tense. Now let's reflect. You probably thought it was verb forming because of the final ed, and you know that final ed is related to verbs. Only verbs have a final ed, but in this case, pierce is a verb, and pierced is also a verb. The changing meaning we saw was not drastic, just verb tense changed. What do I call the process that happens to word formation when we change verb tense, gender, number, or possession. We call it derivation or inflection. Remember, derivation changes the word meaning and
So,
sometimes the word
so it's
class.
inflectional.
It's inflectional. That's it. In this case, the final ED is an inflectional suffix. Okay. And how about silence, which is the next? Silence. The suffix ends. Uma dica, okay, a hint for you. When you want to know if your theory, if your considerations about the suffix are correct, test this suffix in other words. Silence. We have the root, sil, and we have ans. It's difficult to find words with sil, but you can. Silent. Uh, can you think of others? But can you think of other words ending in ans? What does ans mean? Like compete, competition, competence, or experience, experience. Sorry, experient, experience. Can you think of other verbs ending in ans and what it means? Patient, patience. What is ans? This class of words ending in ans, what are they?
They are nouns.
Good. Now, silence. We have the root sil. Out of the root sil, you can create silence, silent, which is an adjective, to silence, which is a verb, the verb to silence. But in this case, we are not talking about the verb. That's why you need the context. An explosion pierced the silence. An explosion pierced something. So we are talking about silence as a noun. Okay. In this context, in the context of this period here, silence works as a noun. We have silence verb to silence, and we have silence noun. So what kind of suffix is this? Inflectional or derivational? Is it here to serve syntax or to serve semantics, to change meaning?
It's derivational, right?
Derivational. What kind of derivational suffix?
Noun forming.
The derivational suffix. So derivational, let's abbreviate. Let's make an acronym out of this. Derivational noun forming suffix. Okay? Because it forms a noun. Oh, teacher, but it's too difficult because the root is so small. Yeah, but you can compare with other words. Okay, so we have silence, silent. Okay, we have patient, patience. Okay, so that you can compare other words ending in ans. Okay. Number 5. Anybody else to help me with number 5? Number 5 is the maid's persistent screams rang from the conservatory. Maids. And then we have the apostrophe S.
Inflectional suffix.
Oh, very good. Why is it inflectional? We learned that possessive case, or we call it more technically, genitive case, is here only to serve grammatical rules. The maids is not a word class. Okay, we have made, and attached to the word, we have this kind of suffix, apostrophe s, that is called the genitive case or possessive case. Okay, so it's inflectional. So we have an inflectional suffix. Number 6, makes persistent. Then we have the ending ant. Now, what kind of suffix is ant? We have persist. I will not go into the merit because we can split this, okay, like in per and sist, because we have insist, persist, and so on, okay? We have a morpheme here, a prefix, but I will not go into the merit, okay? I just want to focus on the final one, on the suffix. And what kind of suffix is and? Persistent. Can you form other words out of this? First of all, persist is what in terms of word class? Is it a word?
It is verb.
It is a verb. Now, persistent is what?
An adjective.
So what do I have here?
A derivational adjective forming suffix.
Perfect. Pegar o jeito, né? Posso deixar vocês com esse exercício para a próxima semana. E com esse aqui, para escrever, vocês vão glossar, tá? No exercício 2, vocês vão glossar o que cada sufixo desse significa. Por exemplo, or, que é o mesmo que né? É um alomorfo. Aquele que pratica, né, a ação tal. Né? No caso, spectator, the one that spectates. Né? Or the one that. Né? Você não vai colocar só the one that spectates, porque isso aqui é um coringa, né? The one that does the root. Né? The one that spectates, the one that teaches, the one that walker, okay? So on. Canine. Think of feline. What is the meaning of feline? Lions are felines. Tigers are felines. Cats are felines. Felines related to the class. I don't know if it's class now. Now I have to go back to my biology classes, but I think it's class of the Felix. I don't know if family. Yeah, related to cats in general, meaning cats, not only domestic cats. Or communism. What does ism mean? And then you have to go to sexism, racism, and so on. You are going to compare words ending in the same suffixes and see what these suffixes mean. I want you to kind of write a dictionary of suffixes for these words. Do you understand? Vocês vão escrever aqui meio que um dicionário do que esse sufixo significa. Sufixo or remete a tal coisa. Né? Ok? Façam esses dois exercícios e aí depois a gente vai resolver o terceiro e o quarto. Tá? Esse exercício aqui, o primeiro, tá? É a cara de eu querer testar no exame formal. Tá? Ver se vocês reconhecem processos inflexionais, processos derivacionais e quais os tipos de derivação estão sendo feitas. É a cara de eu querer testar. Não estou dizendo mais nada, tá? Mas se eu fosse vocês, eu estudava esses sufixos e desenvolvia essa sensibilidade de distinguir, de identificar se eles são noun forming, verb forming, adjective forming, and so on. Okay? Do you have any question about these topics for today? The process of word formation, the types of...
It's okay.
Okay, I'll upload this file. I know you have the file, but I'll upload this just as a backup to Stiga and open a task. Okay, similar to the previous one. Then
Okay.
by next week, you upload the file, okay, with the answers, and I will be considering this file as part of your evaluation. Okay, it's part of those extra points that every student likes to have. Okay,
Could you
let me
also
screen. Yeah,
upload the
this slide.
PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so I'll be doing that. I think by this afternoon or by the end of this Friday, it will be done. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So have a nice morning, nice ending of morning. If you have another class, have a nice class. Okay. See you next week. Right. If you have any
Yeah.
questions, I'll make this class available by Friday. Okay. On Siga.
Cool. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
weekend. Take care.
You too.